It's been 80 degrees here in Needle, California all week, and even without running my fan all day, my van has been comfortable inside. I've made a few small changes, bought some curtains, I shortened those. I want to talk about that in a little bit. I added some bug screens, which is a complete game changer, and I set up a DIY shade tarp, and that made a huge difference. Stick around and I'll tell you about it. Hi, welcome back to Miles to Myself. My name is Michelle. Today I want to talk to you about some DIY tips that I've learned while I've been on the road. So first of all, I added curtains to the inside, not only for aesthetics because I'm a little girly sometimes, but I also wanted to keep the sun from beating inside my van and keeping it a little bit cooler in there, and they work great. Of course, when I got them, they were 72 inches long, way too long. So for a while I had them hemmed up with pins. And I got to a place where I could actually take them off, put them on my bed, hem them up. I used some double-sided fabric tape, and that has been working great. So I took off, cut, measured, everything worked out perfectly. I also added a bug screen, which I got off Amazon, and I have an affiliate link down below. I was going to buy screens from another company. Actually, I did before I left, and I had to take off all of the molding and get in between to be able to install those. But my floor actually sits in front of my molding, so I wasn't able to get all of that off. So what I did is I just found some bug screens on Amazon and made them work for my situation. So when I show you, I do have bottom edge. We cut that off and used Gorilla Tape at the bottom. On the sides, the tape that came with it that had Velcro on one side where the screen attaches really didn't work in my situation, opening and closing it all the time. And Sharpie can go in and out. He has no problem with that. But my friend Wallace came over and he put some screws in because that's how he did his van, and that's where I got the idea from. It was not my idea. My friend Kimberly came over and she helped me shorten them and put the Gorilla Tape on the bottom. And then I have screws running all the way around on the trim inside, and they've been staying in place perfectly. And that is a big, if you saw my bug assault short where I had all of those flies on the inside, has been keeping a lot of the flies out. Now I might have one or two, and that's not hard to deal with. I actually just ordered another set of screens for my back door. Those won't be here until the middle of November. But once I get those installed, now that I've done one, I know how to do the next one, and I'll be able to open the back door and the side door and have a nice cross breeze come through, as long as the sun is not behind my van, because you don't want the sun and the heat coming in from the back. Otherwise you're just blowing hot air all around, and that's not a good idea. So the next thing I did while I was out here in the desert, I had this idea when I was at mentoring camp. I wanted to buy one of those awnings and put those up where my roof rack is, but I thought, geez, that's over $1,000, and then I have to have it installed, or I have to figure out how I'm going to install it here in the desert. So I thought, why not use a tarp? So the tarp is attached to the roof rack. My friend Brownie donated me some extendable tent poles, and then my friend Wallace donated to me some rebar tent stakes. So we pound those into the ground. I already had the paracord, so really the only thing I bought was the tarp and a couple of bungee cords to tie the ball bungees to tie the awning to the roof rack, and it cost me probably $20 at Walmart. And that was a great investment. I could have shade when I'm not parked the way that I am, which I'm going to share with you next. I haven't needed to use that once I turned my van to the southwest, because now where I'm facing right now, I have plenty of shade in the side of my van. The tarp will only work if it is not extremely windy out. So one day my friend Jack and I were sitting here and the tarp starts blowing and blowing and blowing, and he said, you know, that tarp, the grommets might rip. So we hurriedly took it down, and I put the tarp away, and I had moved my van so that it was pointing southwest, which I want to talk about next, because that really helps me keep the sun out of the inside of my van. But once I moved the van, I didn't need to put the tarp up anymore, but it does give it a little bit more of a homey cottage feel where, you know, all my fairy lights are on, and and you have more outdoor living space. It just makes everything look so much bigger. So it is a nice little addition, but I don't have it up right now. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is parking, so that you get some shade on the door side, the sliding door side. And for me, I have found if I point my nose southwest, I get plenty of shade all day long right in this area. The sun is not beating down into my van, and it keeps it nice and cool in there. I only need to run my MaxxAir fan probably in the late afternoon into the early evening, and then I'm able to shut it off. It cools it down right in there perfectly. I still do have my 2 rechargeable fans, but I haven't needed them. It's been quite lovely not to have to run all of that extra power when I don't need to. And right now, even though it's 80 degrees and my brother-in-law back home gives me the 2-finger salute because it's so beautiful here, and where they live it's not so beautiful. The sun has been coming up around 6 in the morning, setting around 6 at night. Like I said, it's been high about 80s. At nighttime it gets to about the mid to high 50s. And once I get that screen put on that back door, I'll be able to open that up and let the breeze come through at night, and it's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait for that screen to come. So these little DIYs, shortening the curtain, adding the bug screen, using a $20 tarp instead of a $1,000 awning, makes my van life so much more comfortable. So out here, what I'm finding, it's not about fancy gear, although I did buy some of that fancy gear that I regret now, but it is about creativity, about community, about paying attention to light, wind, and shade. Thanks for watching. As always, I'll talk to you again soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!